think the last time I was excited to daily drive a Motorola phone had to be about 10 years ago with the Droid Turbo. So to say I was surprised to see the absolutely sexy Razr Fold 2026 would be an understatement, but this thing looks incredible. It ticks basically every box. Outstanding battery life thanks to its 6,000 milliamp hour battery, an incredibly bright display that Motorola claims can reach over 6,000 nits in specific situations, though it should be noted that we didn't quite get that high, and a camera system that, according to DxOMark, is the best on a foldable device. It's not quite as thin as my daily driver Fold 7, and it is a little bit heavier, but when I say a little bit, I really do mean a little bit. Man, the initial impressions of this are great. You know what's funny is that last Motorola phone that I was really excited about, if you know what I mean, the Droid Turbo, also had a really cool textured back. It's almost like they should do that. Devices don't need to be boring. All right, here, hold on. Let's see what's in the box first, though. This is allegedly an unboxing channel. SIM removal tool in a little paper bag. Okay, README. Air vent. And those aren't microphones. No, those are air vents. All right. And last but not least, we get a USB charging cable. It doesn't seem to be USB 3, so if you want to take advantage of fast data rates as well as the up to 80 watt wired charging that this thing can do, you'll have to go elsewhere. Fortunately, I know just where you can get a fantastic cable. LTTstore.com, True Spec Cables, check it out. All right, that's it for accessories. But that has kind of become the norm. Let's take a closer look at the device. On the back, we've got support for 50 watts wireless charging and 5 watts reverse charging. Although, like the wired charging, I don't think you're gonna see those speeds consistently. It's just in the nature of how batteries work. You can jam a lot of power into them for a little while, then it tapers off quite significantly. Either way, we saw very reasonable charging speeds, just over an hour with a high-speed wired charger. Also back here, we've got 3 50 megapixel cameras, a regular standard lens, a 3x optical zoom telephoto, as well as an ultra-wide / macro camera. And we've also got a really large flash. I'll be interested to see if that's it's better than other flashes. Flash photography is like really trendy right now, right?
It is.
Go figure. Up top, we've got a speaker. Over on the right, we've got, oh wow, this is quite the assortment of buttons. Here's our lock button, volume buttons. What are you? I'm gonna need that documentation back. Oh good, it's an AI key. I was hoping for one of those. On the bottom, we've got our USB-C charging port, SIM tray. I mean, don't take that for granted these days. Another speaker. And that's about it, isn't it? Oh, I guess now's a good time to talk about specs while we fire this thing up. Oh wait, no, I missed a camera. This one on the front screen is 20 megapixels, and then there is a second selfie camera when you have it open. This one is 32 megapixels. Okay, back to this front screen though. This is the first foldable to use Corning's Gorilla Glass 3 ceramic, which is supposed to be more drop resistant. Not sure who they're targeting with that. And it's got a subtle curve to the edges that I've always been a fan of. Your mileage may vary, but I really like it. I find it feels really nice. Because the active pixels don't go to the edge, you kind of get the best of both worlds where it slides on really nice, but you shouldn't have trouble activating on-screen elements that are right toward the edges. That's actually pretty cool. Don't love how sharp these corners are, but these ones are quite nice. In terms of display specs, the front one is rated for, I think, 6,000 nits peak brightness, but we found it reached more like 4,000. And the inner display is rated for 6,200 nits peak brightness, but we actually found that it reached about 4,200. Now, it is worth noting that many phone manufacturers rate their screens for how bright they can get in a specific test situation, but we care a lot more about what you'll see in the real world. And in the real world, this thing gets really freaking bright as long as you enable auto brightness. Without auto brightness on, we actually found that in SDR content, it peaked at 500 nits, and maybe that was something that Motorola did in order to maximize battery life, which we found was absolutely outstanding. This thing uses a silicon carbon battery. It's rated for 6,000 milliamp hours, and we got over 30 hours in our endurance test with just the front display running, and over 20 hours in our endurance test with the inner display running. Very impressive for a foldable device. What else can I say about this? Oh, I can say that before we go any further, I've got to tell you about our sponsor.
Take control of over 2,500 tanks, ships, and aircraft to wreak havoc on a massive battlefield. War Thunder's true-to-life vehicles, deafening sound effects, and incredibly detailed damage modeling lend to an immersive and comprehensive experience for all users of all skill levels. Available on PC, console, and mobile devices, you can join a worldwide community of over 95 million players and hop right into the action anywhere, anytime. Download War Thunder for free today using our link. New players or those returning after 6 months can even get a nice bonus pack.
First impressions of the Crease are actually really good. Like, obviously you can see it, but I kind of have to work to get you guys a view of that. You see that? Pretty good, and it opens extremely straight. But I've also learned over the years that you really can't trust first impressions of a folding phone. Like, here's my Fold 7, and when I got it, the Crease was pretty hard to see, and you can see, like, it's still pretty okay, but it's definitely worse, and you can see it definitely doesn't naturally open completely straight anymore. I always have to give it a bit of an overfold, and then it straightens out a little. Make of that what you will. Maybe Motorola nailed it. Only time will tell. One thing that they apparently did nail, though, is the multitasking experience on this thing. Let's go ahead and give that a shot. Let me see if I can figure out how to do it first. Ooh, here, open in split screen mode. All right. Hey, look, it's got a nice little tutorial for how to do it. Okay, drag the top bar to rearrange the window. There we go. Okay, that's cool. Tap the top bar, replace app. How about, I don't know, Instagram. Sure, I care about Instagram. Drag to switch to immersive view or full screen. All right. Okay, here it is. Drag to return to the split screen view. Got it. A boop. Cool. Now, neither of these apps are doing anything, but I think you guys are getting the point that if I want to have like a full screen experience, but I want to be able to quickly switch to another app, I can have them both running like this at the same time. It supports up to 3 like this. That's kind of freaking awesome. And I love that I can have it on either side. But, and this is always one of my key tests, am I allowed to have my back button on either side? Change button order. Boom. I want to daily this thing so bad, and it's freaking fast too. Now, obviously the Pixel Fold is not the be all and end all of foldable performance. I'm sure that they would have tested it against the Fold 7 if I wasn't busy daily driving that, but Labs did test against the Pixel Fold, and while it doesn't exceed it as much in single-threaded performance as we expected, it absolutely blows the doors off of it in multi-threaded performance, and then especially in GPU performance, managing, I think, double the score in 3D Mark Steel Nomad, although it is worth noting that you can't expect it to run at that kind of peak performance all the time. It does feature, apparently, liquid cooling. I've heard that a lot of times for mobile devices, and it almost always means that it has a vapor chamber or it has some kind of fluid inside that just, moves the heat around, but at the end of the day is always limited by its ability to dissipate heat to the outside world, which, I mean, unless you put like a radiator on it or something, is always just gonna be the ability of glass and plastic to dissipate heat. So we did find that performance did decline over time, although it still obviously ends up quite a bit faster than a Pixel Fold. Oh, and that's not the only thing that's faster than Pixel Fold. The inner display is at the same variable refresh rate, so anywhere from 1 to 120 hertz as other leading edge foldables, but the outer display can do up to 165 hertz if you set that manually. I actually really like the way that Motorola has this set up as well, so you can tell it how aggressive you want it to be about ramping up the display refresh rate. There we go. Yeah, smart and balanced. Moderate battery consumption up to 120 hertz. And then you can tell it to override it if you are actually playing a game. What does this mean? Moto Unplugged, what the hell is that? Find your balance by disconnecting from digital distractions. So you can customize what's actually allowed in the unplugged mode. What's allowed to interrupt you, or who. Enter a password before ending a session. I mean, that's, obviously you know the password, but it makes you be intentful about it. There we go. All right, I'm unplugged. That's it, that's all. Phone, messages, camera, and that'd be kind of cool for if your kid needed to borrow your phone too. Here, you can't do anything but this, and you need a password in order to end it. This is the world's mushiest lock button though. I can't believe it took me that long to comment on that. That is not great. And where's the fingerprint sensor on this thing? I feel like I started doing a short circuit and now I'm just evaluating whether I wanna like switch to it. This is overall really nice. Okay, let's see how fast it is. Ooh, nice. Boop. Ooh, okay. Actually better than I was expecting for how tiny that sensor is. Okay, what does the AI button do? Here we go. AI at your fingertips. Wow, you can disable it. Hey, don't take that for granted. Press and hold duration. Okay, you can do a double press or press and hold. Okay, what's pay attention? So it's just like transcribing, basically. I need a Moto account for this though. One of the complaints about this phone from The Verge's article was that it has a fair bit of bloat. Some of this stuff I'm super okay with. The Unplugged thing actually seems legitimately pretty cool, but I can definitely see what they're talking about. Oh, I guess now's a good time to try the camera. Does it have the double tap gesture? Oh, it doesn't. So the double tap on the power button gives me Google Pay, which is acceptable, I guess. And if I want to quick launch the camera, I got to do this. All right. They're pulling the Apple thing where I can't zoom in very far on my photos. Actually not bad though. And they managed to make the like pretty big camera bump a lot more palatable by just having it be more gradual. Like I don't think it's actually any shorter than my Fold one. It's just, no, it's substantially thicker overall actually. But this just, man, it really catches on things. Like when you're trying to put it in and out of your pocket, but like, that's quite slidable. Yeah, not bad. This power button's a little high for me to comfortably reach from here. I gotta really reach for it when I wanna unlock the device. Oh, that's a cool picture. I'll take a picture of that, sure. This is probably the most underrated thing about a foldable, being able to take a picture and then, especially with like an elderly relative, show it to them in a way that they can actually see it. Like that's basically like a 4x6, you know, to use old film dork, you know, sizing. Not bad. Like I can almost read the names. Yeah, I can pretty much read the names of apps on that screen over there. That's pretty good. Dude, I am liking this thing so far. It's gonna have the classic Android stutter. Oh, that's stable. Oh, damn, that stabilization though. Again, check this out. Look at that. That's actually, that's pretty impressive. That image stabilization is really impressive though. Like you could see how much I was shaking it there, and then on the footage you can barely see it. Okay, how's this selfie camera? It's way up in the corner. Oh, good smile for the picture. Look at what it's doing with this. Like it has no idea what to do with the yellow on this hoodie. I mean, look, this is a pretty challenging situation. Let's see if this one's any better. I can already tell this one's gonna be better. And still struggles with the color, actually. No, this is not better. Although I guess that makes sense given that this is the 32 megapixel lens and this is a 20 megapixel. Wow, that is just about the most subtle group photo switch that I've ever seen. I should be able to fit a fair number of people in here though. Hey, here's me if I had friends. Okay, cool. Definitely usable. The weight is starting to become feelable though. Oh, yeah. Ooh, Crab Rave. Oh man, that volume rocker is really far away. Struggles with bass. Not the best phone speakers I've ever heard. Good stereo imaging, but at high volume, it does not sound great. Let's try it with it open though. Yeah, that's not gonna help with the fact that there's some distortion. And actually, this gives us a great opportunity to talk about, you know, what content consumption looks like on a display like this. As someone who's been using a wallet style foldable for almost, yeah, like over half of the last year, you definitely notice that, hey, the actual usable screen when you've unfolded it for consuming content is not really any bigger than a candy bar. This is what I'm talking about. You see that? Like, what are we even doing here? That's one of the reasons that Samsung is releasing their like wider foldable that like folds out wide soon. But I gotta say, I haven't been hands-on with it yet, but I'm very skeptical of that just because anything that's not super usable while folded, I think is gonna really struggle to succeed, because anyone who uses a foldable day-to-day is gonna tell you that they still use the cover display a freaking lot, especially when you're typing, for instance. So having something that's just like, kind of like that, especially when you factor in how much you're paying for that extra screen real estate that as soon as you fire up content, much of it's not being used. For the 512 gig storage version with 16 gigs of RAM comes in at $18.99 US. There are a couple of other versions, but this is the only one that we've been able to track down in North America. It's a steep price, but they do promise that it comes with 7 major Android updates. So at least you know you'll be using it for a long time until the hinge breaks or the screen delaminates or, oh, what's the IP rating? I don't think I checked that. IP49 apparently. So you wouldn't really worry about water. It can handle submersion. And then you just want to make sure that you keep anything larger than a millimeter away from it. And you're like, that's just the nature of these hinged devices. You don't want to get any like sand or crap in there. Overall, I kind of love it. I think I want to daily it. Way to go, Motorola. You made a high-end device again. And way to go you for subscribing to ShortCircuit so you don't miss any of our wonderful videos.